This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Hey guys, how's it going? DUJ2 here, and welcome back to Fortnite Save the World, and welcome to a very important video that I've been promising you guys for a very long time, and that is my Ventures video. In this video, we're going to talk all about Ventures. We're going to talk about Season 1, we're going to talk about Season 2, we're going to talk about what I think they could do better in both Season 1 and Season 2, what they could improve on, what I think they got right, as well as I'm going to share with you guys some of my super secret, ultra special tips and tricks. I'm kidding, they're not. But I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I'm doing Ventures and how I think that Ventures could progress and be even better in the future, as well as how we as players can approach it so that it's a positive experience, you know. But first, let me just say huge thanks to all of you guys for being here. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you all of you who are using my creator code DUJ2 right here. It helps me out so very much. Thank you very much, guys. You guys are amazing. And also a huge, ultra special thank you to today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. With thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video freelancing, and more, including content creating. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. And huge thanks to Skillshare. The first 1,000 people who click the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. And I personally have really enjoyed my subscription of Skillshare as well. I've been doing this beautiful lesson here by Polymatter. It's called How to Make Great YouTube Thumbnails. He does an amazing job of separating each lesson in a really structured manner, then going through each topic very thoroughly. Something that I personally really appreciate, since I learn and understand better when things are explained to me and then re-explained. And he goes even further and summarizes excellently at the end of each lesson, as you guys can see over there. I highly encourage taking this class to really understand what makes a good thumbnail and how to make great YouTube thumbnails. So make sure to take advantage of this awesome opportunity and join Skillshare today. And again, huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. They're awesome. So let's go ahead and run into this video, guys. All right, we're going to start at the very beginning. And we're going to start with, maybe you are brand new to Save the World. Maybe this is the first time you've ever seen a YouTube Save the World video or a video on Ventures, and you might be like, what is Ventures? So what is Ventures? Ventures is an area in our map right here, where it's going to be right here in Hexylvania Venture Zone. We had one previously, I forget what, the Badlands. The first one was called the Badlands. And Ventures is basically an area in the map where you are going to start from level 1. So you're going to start at level 1 here with an empty inventory and level 1 on your Ventures progress. And the whole point of it is just to play the game. You're going to be playing the game. The only thing that you take with you is going to be your skills that you've already unlocked and your heroes, your loadouts, which is the most important thing about Ventures. The most important thing about Ventures, I feel, is your hero loadouts. If you have the heroes to make the loadouts that are going to just click really well and do amazingly, they're going to do really good for you, you know, in your Ventures. Now, the first Ventures, the whole point of Ventures is kind of to start from scratch. Everyone's an even playing field, and you have to grind your materials, grind your weapons, which you have to get from there. You can't create, or you can't use any of your own weapons or traps, so you have to do everything that you can find. So you can't actually make your own weapons. Sorry, traps you can make your own traps, but you can't use your schematics to make your own weapons. You have to find weapons, and since you can't make your own weapons, they can break on you, but you can fix them. There's different areas on the map where you can fix them, and there's also different, what are those things called? I forget them. Vending machines. There's vending machines where you can get your traps. Now, that's like the basic concept of Ventures. And also something really interesting is that you can't drop stuff. You can't drop materials. You can't drop weapons for anyone else. You're kind of just stuck with what you initially have. And that in itself is really fantastic, I personally feel. Now, Ventures, as I've said before, I feel is most definitely something that was designed for the veteran player, because a big part of Ventures is your hero loadout. So you have to have all these different heroes that you've collected over all the different seasons, all the different versions, to be able to, well, make the best loadouts you possibly can. And for that, I do feel that it is geared towards the veteran player. Also, the fact that you can't drop anything, which means you can't really trade within Ventures, comes to solve something that is really, really big, and something that we've been, kind of asking for a very long time. Gameplay within the game where you couldn't really get scammed. It wasn't focused on trading, it was just focused on playing. So two things right there, two very big positive things right there. And the third thing, which I gotta say this, and again, this is positive for the veteran player. For a newer player as well, they can also do it, but they are gonna find a lot of roadblocks along the way, because they just won't be able to make all the loadouts to make it really fun. And the third thing, so the three things that I said, the third thing is the big one: replayability. So replayability in Save the World. Replayability is something that I've explained and I've been talking about for, well, it's literally been years now. And replayability means when you have something that brings you back to a game over and over and over again. And in a game like this, which this is a grinding game, this is a game where you are meant to just play over and over the same missions, grind it over and over and over, the same thing. You need something that will keep you coming back for more. Now, Save the World does have a bit of a feature like that, and that is going to be the gold shop. So when we get gold and tickets as well, but the gold will definitely keep you coming back for more, as well as your resources. You need a lot of these resources to be able to level up the schematics and heroes that you get in the game, survivors as well. So that in itself right there is a replayability. That's a replayability mechanic that keeps you coming back, but it very, very, very quickly gets stale. And by that I mean that very quickly you just run out of, you run out of energy to be able to do the same thing over and over and over again. And Ventures came to, could have been that replayability factor, and it is it is a bit of replayability for Save the World. I personally have said this before, that many games like this and many MMORPGs or MMOs have replayability in the sense of RNG, where you can go into missions that are pretty much identical, but you have a very, very small chance of getting something special, a special drop. And in Save the World, I always said, well, it would be wonderful if maybe we could have mythic heroes, or we could have, like we have schematics, maybe we could find like pieces of the schematic, like you could break a schematic into 2 pieces if it was like rare, and then you could 4 pieces if it was epic, and like 8 pieces if it was legendary, or 10 pieces or 12 pieces if it was mythic. Where, let's say, mythic survivors, you could actually do missions over and over and over again, and the harder the mission, the more chance you had, even though if it could be a tiny little chance, of getting a piece of a schematic. And if you got that schematic, or you completed that schematic, you could get yourself, let's say, a mythic survivor. So that kind of RNG that could keep you coming back and playing over and over and over again. Including something else that would be really good would be a structured trading system. If you have something like Grand Exchange or something like that, where you could actually put up your pieces or your materials or anything up for sale, and people could buy them for gold, V-Bucks, or whatever you want to do it. So things like that are replayability. Now, Ventures came to bring a type of replayability, because we do have these superchargers and we do have the core reperks and all that as rewards, and those are fantastic. They're really, really great, and all of that did come to be a really good, like pieces of the puzzle, but the puzzle isn't really complete. At least I feel it isn't. And I personally feel that maybe it would have been great if doing all these missions, or maybe you could unlock like little bosses at the end of each area, and then you could, replay those over and over again, or harder missions over and over again, and maybe you would have a chance at a drop of a supercharger, something like that, where You play something like 5 hours and you might get a supercharger drop. Something like that. Something like that that would keep you playing over and over again. And that is where we're going to move into the things that I feel are missing in Ventures. And the biggest part, again, is going to be replayability. I feel that replayability in Ventures is missing and lacking because all you have to do is keep grinding these missions over and over again. And at a certain point, you find one particular mission, like a 4-man mission, that you're just going to grind over and over and over again until you unlock more levels and you unlock higher areas. That can get very boring. On top of that, the other thing that I feel is, well, you know what? I'm not going to talk about them as negatives. I'm going to talk of them as opportunities. A big opportunity that Ventures has is the area. Now, I personally loved Hexylvania. When Hexylvania came out, it's a beautiful area. It's really different. It's really wonderful. But unfortunately, Ventures has come to make me not really like Hexylvania anymore because it's just the same thing. And that's the next, or I guess the biggest complaint, the biggest room for improvement and area of improvement that I see in Ventures is the fact that it's the same thing. We are doing the exact same missions. Yes, we have, Trap the Storm, which isn't exactly available in other ones, or Survive the Night. But there's all these missions that are pretty much the same thing and things that we've seen before in an area that we have already seen before. It's just the same. It's the same thing over and over again. And to that effect, when we heard about the blasted Badlands, I had in the back of my mind, I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if they made a Badlands area? If they made an area that looked completely different. And what they could have done is they could have just taken the maps that we already have, like the suburbs and the ghost town and the city and the industrial park. They could have taken those areas and just made them look just broken, like old. Like, can you imagine that if you went into the city and all the buildings were kind of half destroyed? Everything looked like like a distant apocalyptic future kind of thing. If we had something like that, and they could have even spun a little story saying that Ventures was a portal that was opened into a potential future. As we know, we are trying to we're trying to save the world. That's what we're trying to do right now. Yes, the world was saved technically and saved the world by the defeat of the mythic Storm King, or the Storm King, and closing that rift, and Desiree and Dr. Vinderman and all that good stuff. But what if we had a portal that we could go to in these Badlands, where we could see what could happen if we don't save the world, if we don't save everyone, and that's why all these home-based heroes are having to join the fight, and we're trying to do all these things because we're trying to save the world. So it would be great if we would have had a different area, if we would have had bigger maps, maybe just a couple of big maps where you could have multiple different missions, or different maps where you could have different missions. And that's the other thing too, we're doing the same missions over and over and over again, that even a variation of these missions or something completely different, just something like a capture the flag capture the flag with the husks, or any other kind of defend home base, like kind of like the whole castle thing, where you have a castle that you have to just jump in and defend, not where we had to do what we always do: find the mission, or go into a mission, find the objective, defend the objective, or build the objective, start the mission, defend the objective. That's kind of what we just always do. So if they would have maybe come up with a couple of different completely missions, if Ventures were something completely different, and trust me, they have a ton, and I do mean a ton, of material they could have pulled off from creative. They could have pulled a lot of things from creative and put them into the Ventures. Yes, it could have been something that would have been very different, but I think it would have been wonderful. Or the other option that we had been talking about, and something that we said, which I think it would have been great, if they would have brought the, what do they call them again? The husks from Battle Royale. I forget what they call them now, but remember those husks from Battle Royale, the big ones? If Ventures was that, if the Badlands had only those husks and different variations of Can you imagine a smasher? A smasher that looked like that? That'd be terrifying. So yeah, so and because we don't have to use our weapons, our schematics, they could have put in all sorts of different stuff, all sorts of different weapons. Yes, I know I have to say what I always say about this. And I always say that in many of these instances, it's important to remember that this takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of programming hours, a lot of developer hours. And unfortunately, that isn't really what is being seen in Save the World right now. And Epic is not putting that priority in Save the World. But Ventures, as it is right now, to me is, well, boring, for lack of a better word. It does have a lot of potential. It does have certain things that are really good. And for someone like me, and for a lot of you guys who are completionists and we feel like we want to get everything, we are driven to get all these supercharges. We're driven to get this. Unfortunately, I am only level 25 right now. I did start at the very beginning of this Venture Season 2. I should be level 50 by now. But a lot of you guys know that for the past 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, I haven't gotten to play. I have barely gotten a chance to play, a few hours in that entire time. And I'm really looking forward to getting back and finishing up Ventures, finishing the 50 missions. Finishing it more so I don't have to do it again. And that's the last problem there. I kind of feel like Ventures could be so much more. Ventures could be just absolutely fantastic. It could be incredible. And I really hope that they do revamp a little more, and I hope that they do balance it a little more, because we went from about 40 hours of gameplay in the first season to complete it, to get all 50 levels, to over 80 hours of gameplay in this season 2. And the rewards didn't really increase. Yes, we now have the weekly superchargers that we can get, but it's not the same thing. I kind of feel like this rebalancing needs to be given another look over. And if it is going to be 80 hours to complete Ventures, or even more in the future, then I really, really hope that they put something in Ventures that is going to make it worth it. Something else that is going to really, encourage us to do it and go beyond. These modifiers that we got, it's not enough. We need a little more. Like turn off the lights and make use a flashlight. That'd be wonderful. And finally, let me finish off, guys, by giving you guys my super ultra secret tip. Okay, so I gotta say this because I have to say it. There is only one way to quickly advance in Ventures. There's only one way, guys. There's only one way. And the one way to advance quickly in Ventures is to get people who are much higher level than you, who are already maxed out in power level, in combat level, or in the Ventures. They're already Ventures level 50. Help them, or they help you, to take you into a much higher level and help you do the mission. Because you're going to be able to get so much more Venture experience. Like here, if I do a level 70, I get 6,900 Venture experience, compared to if I do a level 46, where I only get 4,700. Oh, and don't forget to keep an eye out, because you can get some pretty good rewards like that broadside there. But that's it, guys. That is pretty much, and that in itself is that shows a lot about what Ventures is as well. That there isn't really any good structured way of advancing quickly apart from, well, being carried. And of course, I do encourage you, if you do have friends who will help you, go into higher levels, do your best. Try your best. You guys have seen, I always try and bring my best loadouts I can. I try and do my absolute best to advance as much as I can, to do the best I can to, contribute. But definitely, that's the easiest and fastest way to advance. I'm not going to try and do that. I'm actually going to try and get to level 50, as doing as much as I possibly can. And I do plan to do considerably more Ventures, especially in the next coming weeks, so that I can finish with time, so I'm not rushing to the very last second. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. As always, I am DUJ2. If you guys enjoy this video, if you enjoy what I do on my channel, please, please, please do me a huge favor. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Thanks a lot to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.